You're listening to Community Voice PHL, an award-winning talk show that informs, engages, and inspires. Hey, thanks again for tuning in to Community Voice PHL Talk Show. Community Voice is an award-winning talk show that highlights the value-based programs and services that people are doing all across the nation and right here in the tri-state area. We inform you about things that are happening, and we have engaging interviews with inspiring people who get you involved with building caring and prosperous communities. So once again, thanks for tuning in to Community Voice PHL, a show that informs, engages, and inspires. So once again, we're always excited and happy to be on the airways and on the YouTube channels and whatever platform you're listening to us on. We're happy to be there just to be able to share with you all the great things again that are happening with people who are doing just some amazing things. And so excited for you joining us on the airways, particularly on WPPM LP 106.5, our Apple podcast, and also our YouTube channel. If this is your first time listening and viewing, thank you. We appreciate it. And we mainly land on our Instagram page. This is our main social media platform, which is Community Voice PHL. So please, like it, follow us on Instagram, and also subscribe, as I mentioned, to our YouTube channel, which is Community Voice PHL Talk Show, and our Apple podcast, which is Community Voice PHL Talk Show as well. We are always excited to be on, just listening for your listening and viewing pleasure, so that you can, know what's happening about in the tri-state area. And we've even stretched to go a little bit further than that. Happy to always be on the air, because every time we're on, we're always bringing on individuals who just have some exciting information. And today, we have a guest. We're going to dive into a topic that's often overlooked, but it's incredibly important: women's personal health. And with this being Women's History Month, we have just the right person to kind of help us capsulize some of that information. So we're going to get into that real quick. But before we get into that, I'm going to share a few things before we get into that. I want to bring in my co-host Isaac onto the set here real quick too. There he is.
Yes,
Isaac,
yes,
what's up, my
yes.
good brother?
Finally.
Yeah,
I'm doing
cool,
good.
cool,
I'm
cool.
doing good. How are you?
Doing good, living the dream. Listen, I wanted to share with our viewing, listening audience, Isaac, two quick things. One, I always like to
Hmm.
share a Philly first when we're airing this year. Since this is the 250th, I always like to go over a Philly first. That's really something that's unique, and some things people may not know, but things that happen first in Philadelphia. So for this Philly's first is the first medical school in America. The first medical school in America is right here in Philadelphia, 1765. The first medical school became the nation's first school which would teach all about medicine and medical profession. And for those training in the physician industry, started right here at the Perelman School of Medicine, 1765. So who would think that of all the great hospitals and medical institutions across the nation,
Hmm.
Philly had the first one here. So that's some good stuff. In 1765 is when it started. And also, because they're celebrating Philly first, they're going to have festivals, events where they often celebrate these unique firsts. So for the festival event for the Perelman School of Medicine, that's going to take place this Saturday, March the 28th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. So it'll be more information. If you go to the Perelman School of Medicine website, they can give you more information about that event as they celebrate being the first medical school in the nation at Perelman Medical School, and they're going to celebrate their festival on March 28th from 11 to 1 p.m. So go check that out if you get a chance, if you're out there, for our listening viewers who are able to do that. And one more thing, Isaac, and then I'm going to let you jump in, because I know our listening viewer audience is like, we haven't heard from Isaac in a minute. One
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
and I want to get your viewpoint on this, and also don't want to take too much long because we got a great guest we got to get into. I was
Hmm.
going through my news feed here, and I often check out ESPN. And one of the things, with this being Women's History Month, I thought that this was something, at least for those of our listeners and viewers who are into sports, would really resonate with this. At least I know I did. So for the WNBA, for those who don't know, the WNBA, their players really, they were just getting paid pennies to a dollar, right? And
Yeah.
they've now gotten to a position where they established a new collective bargaining agreement, for their players to get, increase in their salary. So here's the staggering point. So the base salary for a player now goes from being uh, in 2025 last year, his salary was 250,000 a
Hmm.
year, right? For professional athlete, not for average person, like that's a lot of money, but for professional
Yeah.
athlete, 250,000 compared to some players in other sports, that's just a game check. But
Oh yeah.
nonetheless,
Yeah.
so now they went from 250,000 in 25 to this upcoming season. The average salary for a WNBA player is 1.4 million. That's
Okay. There
phenomenal.
we go.
That's
Yes.
phenomenal, right? And so the base rookie salary back in 2025 was 120,000. Again, cool for the everyday person, but minor league for athletes. But now the average rookie salary is 600,000. So I'm talking
Hmm.
this collective bargaining agreement. I think is a real win for the WNBA. Now, of course, that is, still has to be progress made, but to go from having
Yeah.
250 as the maximum now to 1.5, that's really, I mean, I kudos to those involved pushing the needle for that. I know
Oh,
Paige
for sure.
Becker, she was one of those out there, and Cynthia Riva, she was another one out there. So there's a lot of people out there just pushing for the WNBA to have more equity in the salary that their players should be earning. And when I read that, I was like, that's what's up.
Oh
They
yeah, for
deserve that. So,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
I wanted to
because
put that out there. Go
athletes.
ahead. Hmm.
I want to say like athletes in general, like one of the things that people don't ever realize is that they have to pay for coaches, they have to pay for nutritionists, they have to pay for their gym memberships,
Yeah,
their
right.
trainers. There are a lot of people that go into a singular athlete that singular athlete then has to pay out and everything.
Hmm.
I'm a huge fan of the UFC. I have an Alex Pereira shirt on right now. Can't wait for
Hmm.
that White House card. Albeit it's on the White House, but I'm thinking about that in terms of like fighting and their fight for equity
Hmm.
in that
Hmm.
instance, and especially for like women UFC fighters. I had to
Hmm.
talk to one of my coworkers the other day about the importance of Ronda Rousey, and he was
Hmm.
like, well, she lost a couple times, she's fighting again on some Netflix card soon. And he was like, well, what's the importance of her? Like, why does she matter? Why do we care about her fighting? And I'm like, well, albeit she lost and she had some personal issues, put some respect on her name because she opened the door for women in general in
Yeah,
terms of
yeah.
combat sports and all that, and
Hmm.
opened the door for women to get paid. She was one of
Hmm.
the highest paid athletes in the UFC at the time. And it was her, John Jones, and Conor McGregor. And they
Hmm.
were all making over $1 million at that time. And she opened that lane for women to get paid over $1 million in the
Yeah,
UFC and in combat sports and all of that. Now, I do hope that this what the WNBA is doing can be spread.
yeah,
Because I feel like every sport needs to have collective bargaining agreements and every sport needs
for
to have
sure.
unions that fight for their
Yeah,
people. And that's one of the major problems with combat sports in general, boxing, UFC. They don't have that type of representation. So I really truly hope that this spreads and that people realize the power of working together.
yeah, and that's definitely true, man. That's why I wanted to bring that to light. And thanks for adding on to that because it should be
Hmm.
spread throughout other sports, and in particular for women and those who identify as such, to be able to get the same type of financial equity that these
Hmm.
male-dominated sports often get. So yeah, thanks for adding that to
Oh
that.
yeah.
And talking about groundbreaking, again, now we're going to go to our guest who is joining us today, Nakea Murray, an expert and advocate for and passionate about women's health and wellness. And she does a great job with the organization that she has founded, and we're going to bring her onto the show so that she can share with us all the exciting information about what she's doing. So, Nakia, thanks for being on Community Voice PHL Talk Show, and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
Good to have you on. Good to have you on. So,
Hmm.
I give the intro of your organization, VTox. Tell our listener and viewing audience a little bit more about what you're doing and what VTox is, and then we can get to a nice conversation here.
Oh, awesome. So I am the principal physician over at VTox Intimate Health and Wellness, where we specialize in nature-based feminine hygiene products, as well as holistic health treatments for
Hmm.
women for the reproductive system. I am also the founding partner of Brown Girl Wellness Studio, which is a full self-care sanctuary and collective workspace for Black and Brown practitioners, as well
Hmm.
as the founder of Black Girl Spa Club, where monthly we do traveling spa clubs for women. We give them permission to put themselves first, to call out of work and head to the spa with us.
Hmm. It's needed. That is so
Look at
needed.
it. You say call
I'm,
out of
I'm
work.
oh yeah. I mean, like I'm going through with my wife, like trying to get her back to herself. Like my wife had a
Mhm,
baby. My baby's about to turn 1 later on this month.
mhm,
And the first couple of months was really trying for her because she was
mm,
giving so much of herself to the child, and kind of fighting against the need for herself and
mhm,
the care that she should have been given for herself. And it's so important for women to be able to get into that headspace of, yes, you do still matter, yes, you are still valuable, and yes, the
mhm,
spas are still needed. Taking care of
mhm,
yourself
mhm.
externally, internally, all of that is so still needed. So talk, maybe if you could talk a little bit more about the importance of the spa day for women, the importance of just general care for yourself outside of hygiene and within hygiene.
Well, thank you so much, even for recognizing what your wife may need. I mean, you were there prior to childbirth, and
Hmm.
with hormone dips and just the extra responsibility, it can be
Hmm.
very difficult for us to even feel like ourselves. I'm
Oh
sure
yeah.
that my honey would be saying some of the similar things that you're saying, only from a different aspect, because I am in the perimenopause phase of life.
Hmm.
And so that is a whole new challenge that I'm still learning and navigating, as well as helping clients get through it. And so I want for women, one, to know that they need to make sure that they're pouring into themselves with whatever that means for them. Because to be perfectly honest with you, we are always operating from a deficit when we're not putting ourselves first.
Hmm.
We are really operating out of survival when we don't put ourselves first, when we're not replenishing ourselves, when we're not relaxing, when we're not restoring ourselves. Like, in whatever that restoration process is, may be different for different people, but we can't stop. That's the only way that we show up as our whole selves to our families, to our friends, and also to our coworkers and every other person that requires us to be present for them.
Okay.
Yeah, and no, go ahead, Isaac.
I was about to say, as a follow up, in terms of digging into what your services offer, I was highly interested in the spa aspect because for Mother's Day, when my wife gave birth last year, the first thing I got her was a spa day. The second thing I got
Mhm.
her closer towards her birthday was a nice facial cleanse and everything.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
everything was focused on the external because she was always taking care of herself internally. She was always my
Mhm.
wife is Nigerian. Her mom came to help us take care of the baby and take part in a
Beautiful.
cultural thing called, I think it's
Beautiful.
called Omugo.
Mhm.
And basically, like where my mother-in-law was taking care of her, like flew up from
Mhm.
Nigeria, was taking care of her, was pushing her stomach back down, making sure that
Mhm.
everything was good there. So
Mhm.
I wanted her to focus on relaxation.
Yes.
So if you could go a little bit deeper into in terms of relaxation and what the services you have offer in that regard, so that more women can figure that aspect out.
Well, it's a great situation for people to, one, relax their mind for emotional
Mm-hmm.
health support, and also from a physical standpoint. So massage is one of our number one healing modalities that we utilize to be used as medicine. Massage can be
Mm-hmm.
used as medicine. Everyone has a different relationship with massage, but when you
Mm-hmm.
are focusing on therapeutic massage, it can be a life-changing experience.
Mm-hmm.
Also, vaginal steaming or V steaming is another service that we offer, and the one that I specialize in, and that is utilizing the medicinal properties of herbs to really
Mm-hmm.
reset and restore the female reproductive system. And it can be
Mm-hmm.
used for all different things. The herbs is what powers the treatment, so it can be customized to what a person's specific needs are.
Okay.
Facials, we absolutely do those. But something that's not talked about enough, I feel, especially with Black women, is the power of red light therapy and
Mm-hmm.
sauna sessions. We have
Mm-hmm.
infrared sauna in our office. Also, the power of foot soaks and how to absorb herbs and essential oils and clays through your skin to be able, and the herbal component is super, super powerful. Just a matter of soaking your feet in ginger, a little bit of mint, warm water, clays, just to help to pull out
mm,
things that don't need to be in your body,
mm,
different toxins and things like that.
mhm,
Also,
mhm,
to make sure that your blood is properly circulating and calming
mhm,
down inflammation. Inflammation is huge, a huge
mhm,
factor in
Hmm.
why so many women are even just dealing with chronic pain.
mm.
Hmm.
Is inflammation all throughout the body, or are you
Hmm.
finding this in
Hmm.
one area? Wow,
Throughout the body.
wow, yeah, yeah. And
How
so,
did? Oh, go
go ahead.
ahead.
No, no,
I
go
was
ahead.
about to ask, like, how did you get into this work?
Well, I
Yeah,
will tell
that
you
was,
Yeah.
that was gonna be
that
my question too.
how I got
Yeah.
into womb health. How I got into
Mhm,
womb health was two things. I was dealing with chronic infection. My daughter was dealing with very, very heavy, miserable periods.
Hmm.
mhm,
And a good friend of mine, we were at a retreat and she introduced me to the service. She was from Western New York, up in Buffalo. I
mhm,
said, "We don't have anything like this here in Philadelphia. Please teach me everything that you need to know." And I left a very lucrative career in publishing
mhm,
to become a womb
mhm,
health professional. And I
mhm,
haven't looked back. I've been a
mhm,
practitioner for about 12 years now. And
mhm,
when every doctor that I took my daughter to, when she was a teenager, who said that the only option was to put her on birth control to help calm
mhm,
down her period,
mhm,
we were
Yeah.
able to literally give her a full, complete menstrual makeover. From
mhm.
7, 8 days, heavy bleeding, cramping, clotting, just misery, to a 4 to 5 day healthy, light to medium cycle.
So what does that look like? Because me and Isaac, we're men, and men need to be
Yeah.
informed on how that works and what it looks like. Because you mentioned something in terms of treatment that
Mhm.
the doctors were saying one thing, but from the holistic physician that you are, you looked at it in terms of no, it can be done this way. So what does that process look
Mhm.
like to help a woman with her productive system to be able to overcome that challenge, similar to what your daughter had?
Well, we have a few different ways in the office. So, not only do we do vaginal steaming, which is the use of water and steam on a heating element, the client is completely covered, and we pretty much allow for the steam to be delivered on its own. They're just sitting on a sauna box, and the
Mm-hmm.
steam rises up and delivers the treatment.
Mm-hmm.
However, we also offer herbal teas as well as tinctures and um, I'm going to say suppositories. Sorry about that, because not suppositories, but
Oh,
oral
I
supplements.
think that word's so
Or
To
good
supplement.
in
Yeah,
on
oral
radio, right?
supplements.
Here we go.
For them to be able to
Mm-hmm.
take. So things like red raspberry leaf, cramp bark, red clover
Mm-hmm.
blossom,
Mm-hmm.
chasteberry, things that are going to help regulate not only the menstrual cycle, but also help to calm
Mm-hmm.
down cramping, to help to slow down heavy bleeding. Those are just a few of the herbs that we use in the office. However, we have a full catalog of herbs that we can pull from to customize treatments and get as detailed as we need to be.
Awesome, awesome. And because it's an overall important part about women's health, talk about how, the comfort level and reducing the stress comes throughout in different phases. And what I guess what I'm getting to is that for a young woman, middle-aged woman, and older woman, your treatments are different. So if you can share for our listening and viewing audience how that impacts each one differently and why it's important for women to know this
Mhm.
and for men to support it.
Well, I think that it is important that we start talking to our daughters at a young age about the different phases of life that their body will go through.
Mhm.
Currently, my youngest client right now is 11 years old. She's
Hmm.
been menstruating since the age of 9. And since the
Wow.
age of 10, she has been having terrible, terrible periods. Her
Hmm.
mom happened to see a post that I had put onto social media, which
Mhm.
basically called moms out and said, "Listen, before you put your daughter on birth control, talk to me first."
Hmm.
And we had a full consultation. And it was just an amazing experience to be able to have conversations that I didn't have the luxury of having, even with my mom,
Hmm.
or my grandmother, to be able to give moms the opportunity, and dads too, because we have some dads that are raising girls, that are
Yeah.
bringing them
Yeah.
into the office to have a better understanding of what's going on.
Mhm.
Also, teaching them the importance of more nature based products, things that are going to be best suited for their long term reproductive health, because
Mhm.
so many different feminine hygiene products are not nature based and they are chemical
Mhm.
Hmm.
filled. And this is
Yeah.
why moving into 30, 40, 50s, we are at the top
Mhm.
percentiles of endometrial cancers, breast
Mhm.
cancers. We are experiencing different levels of infertility for various reasons, just
Mhm.
because our bodies are responding differently to chemical
Mhm.
exposure.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Wow.
could you talk a little bit more about destigmatizing? Because one thing that I thought about heavily when you were talking about the story that you had of the 11-year-old was,
Hmm.
what is that like to destigmatize the conversation around women's health? And I feel like a lot of the time we think of women's health strictly sexually,
Hmm.
and so a lot of the time we come from sexually repressive mindsets or theologies or whatever that keep us from talking about even simple aspects of women's health because we're all automatically thinking about those aspects sexually.
Yeah, I think
Um,
men are. I think women are
mhm.
having those conversations. I mean, men
Mhm.
look at it from that aspect, but
Yeah.
women do not, because
Mhm.
women
Hmm.
understand,
That
from
is just
anatomy
health.
wise, what the different parts of the body and is there
Yeah.
for
Hmm.
overall. Whereas those some men,
Mhm.
there's some men out here that don't realize that women don't pee from their vaginas.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
It's
that's an
yeah.
it's
anatomy
a
That's
thing.
true.
that
That's
yeah.
that's
And
an
so that
anatomy thing. and
yeah. And
and
so that
and and if you really want to go there,
Mhm.
guess what? If men want to be at the top of their game,
Mhm.
they need to understand female anatomy.
Mhm.
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and
What are you about to say, Joe?
that's what I was getting at with my earlier question too. And thank you for Nakia for sharing and parsing all that out. Because
Hmm.
as men, one of the things I want to do, of course, is to let our viewers and listeners know about what you're doing with VTox, and our sisters, mothers, and aunts, and all of them can learn. But also, I want
Hmm.
our brothers to be able to learn. Like you were saying, there's fathers who raising daughters and so forth. So this is like, and as Isaac pointed out, and you kind of confirmed as well. Men are more sexual in that regard. When they're talking about the woman's
Hmm.
body, and you know,
Hmm.
it gets queasy once you start talking about
Yes.
the vagina, and then now all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait, what? And it's
Yeah.
non-sexual conversations that you got to
Well, I
have.
think
So
having a daughter changes it too.
mhm,
Whenever you have a
yeah,
daughter, that
Yeah.
hmm
completely changes the scope for a lot of men.
yeah, yeah. But
Hmm.
but do, but do you think it changes it in terms of them being a protector or them being more informed?
I
Because
think
some
it's a bit
people
of
like
both.
it's a bit of
Because in
okay.
order for you to be a full protector,
Mm-hmm.
you need to be educated.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're protecting from just a very limited view.
Yeah, yeah, true,
Hmm.
true, true. And as always, our show always goes faster than we could ever imagine.
Oh yeah.
Well, we like at the
Listen.
24-minute mark, and we getting comfortable
Yeah.
right now. We kicking the feet up, having a good conversation. But Nikki,
Yeah.
we got to
And
start
the
laying
men
some
need to
things.
be aware too of what to do for their
Yeah.
bodies. I mean, we have a whole clean peen
Hmm.
line that is strictly for the fellas, to help
And
them have a better understanding of what to
Okay.
do for their body inside and out,
That
hygiene
was
and
wise.
another
and
technically
and I
another
and I
question I
want
was going to have. Go ahead.
yeah, and I want to bring you back on at a later time to have that conversation, because I
Okay,
want to be focused just about
no
the women
problem.
and how we help the women, because I don't want brothers to all of a sudden detour from what you just shared previously
He
that we
trying
want
to
to
stay
focus
aligned
on.
with the month.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? They talk about something. I gotta get my massage. No, that ain't even what you talked about.
Yes,
So
wife
these
comes
last
first with that.
right, exactly. Ladies first. It's Women's History Month, and the key is
Oh
making
yeah.
history. And in the last couple minutes that we have, Nakia, share with our viewing and listening audience any key tips or any suggestive things that you could have them know or be informed about, and then also if you can add in how they can get in contact with you and support you, and maybe one day be one of your clients.
Thank you so much.
Hmm.
One of the main things I would like to leave with is that self love is self care.
Hmm.
That is the first love that you really can give to yourself. That's the first caring act that you can give to yourself, and everything
Hmm.
else
Hmm.
follows from there.
Hmm.
Um, your external relationships, are going to mimic what you feel about yourself oftentimes. Your
Mm,
relationships that you end up building are going to be a reflection often about what you feel about yourself. So, self care starts with self love. And
mm,
that's what I would love to leave your audience with. As far as being able to get in contact with me, I would love to be able to give you all of our websites for
mhm,
VTox
Ooh.
Intimate Health and Wellness for all of your nature based feminine hygiene needs and masculine hygiene needs. You're going to go over to www.vtox, and that's V as in Victor, TOX,
Mm-hmm.
YOURBOX.com. So that's vtoxyourbox.com for
Yeah.
the ladies that would love to join us for an awesome self-care day. And our both of our locations are next door to each other.
mm.
So if they would like to
Okay.
join us over at Brown Girl Wellness Studio, they can find us at www.brwngrlwellness.com. And for Black Girl Spa Club, which has been on the road traveling, taking women
Mm.
on spa days for the past 3 years, you can easily find us on social media under Black Girl Spa Club, and that is BLKGRL Spa Club.
Awesome, awesome. So we'll have all that information. We'll put that in the show notes so that they can be able to support
Awesome.
you,
Thank
find you,
you.
take
Thank
advantage of all
you.
of that. Now, we thank you for being on the show. And we definitely, as I mentioned, we will have you back on so we can talk more about women's health and, detox and all the
That
important
sounds
information about
amazing.
that. And then
Mhm.
we're going to dovetail that in a small conversation about men and how you can support them. And the reason why I want to really centralize it on the women and the work that you do, because I think it's nuanced, right? And
Mhm.
I appreciate you sharing that you do have services for men, but I want to make sure that these nuanced services of wellness for women that can educate and inform men get highlighted, right? Because sometimes once we get into that, we do both things, and you lose one, you lose one. And I wouldn't want that conversation to be taken in a
Well,
different way.
believe it or not, some
Mhm.
men don't even want their significant others to get some of our services because of their own limited view of things. They don't
That's
want
what I'm
somebody
saying.
touching on their
Yeah,
wife.
Yeah.
yeah,
They don't
yeah.
understand the steaming thing, so they don't want nothing going up nowhere. But it's about just lack of
That's what I'm saying.
communication
We
Yeah,
still talk.
and
We still
staying
having
out of women's
mindsets like that
business
in
sometimes.
2026. It's crazy.
right. And that's what I'm talking
We still
about.
having
Like you said,
mindsets like that.
yeah. So staying out of women's business and not being, so much insecurity in that space, and it should be more understanding to be able to embrace how we can take care of our again, sisters, mothers,
Hmm.
aunts, and things
Oh
of that
yeah.
nature. So really, really appreciate you for being on the show. And again, if you're just
My
tuning in, or
pleasure.
if you were tuning in, you hear me, Nakea S. Murray, founder of VTox, VTox Your Body. We'll have all that information in the show notes, and we will definitely have her back on the show to share more about the amazing work that she's doing. And please, please, please go to her website, send her a shout out, and let her know you heard on Community Voice. Maybe she might, appreciate you as a star client.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so
We
much. Thank
appreciate
you
that.
so
Yeah,
much.
appreciate that. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, Nakia. So thank you.
I'm
We
signing my
appreciate you.
wife up. I'm signing my
Yeah,
Oh,
wife
there
up.
you go.
perfect.
There you
And
go.
listen,
There
we
you
have
go.
gift card options. You can give her a gift card, let her pick out her own services.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Of
Awesome.
course.
Awesome. All right. Again, we
All
appreciate
right.
you. We'll
Thanks,
be talking to
fellas.
you soon. You're
Of
welcome.
course. You have a
Talk to
good
you.
one.
Same to
Yep.
you.
Hmm.
Mhm. So that was
Oh yeah.
Nakia Murray from VTox Your Body. And we definitely had a great conversation and all amazing things that she talked about. And as you mentioned, you're going to sign your wife up for some of those
Oh yeah.
services. I
For
know
sure.
I'm going to do the same. And, again,
Hmm.
as I was sharing with for Isaac, it's organizations and services like that that are just uniquely designed for helping women that often they don't get the highlight because us men, we kind of drown it out or we don't think it's as important. And as Nakia
Yes.
even mentioned herself, there's some stigma to it that we're still holding on to. So I'm glad we
Yes.
were
For
able to
sure.
have that conversation and push that on out there and continue to support the great work. So yeah, man, excited about it.
Absolutely. Very excited.
All right. So listen, we're about to wrap up for this show. Appreciate all those who are listening and those who will listen at a later time. So just know that if you want to catch up with us, we mostly land on Instagram, Community Voice PHL. And if you want to have a comment about this episode or any future episodes, send us an email to communityvoicephl@gmail.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Community Voice PHL Talk Show, and our Apple podcast, it's Community Voice PHL Talk Show as well. So I'm Jeff Jones and it's Isaac Patterson. Thank you for tuning in. And remember, if it's happening in your community, we need to hear your voice. Peace, and we are out.